Hey everyone, welcome back, and thank you so much for coming in on this kind of special. We usually don't do this, or at least I don't usually do this show at this hour. I'm usually at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, so I was off today, and I thought I have a little bit of time. I'm like, let's get something going on the show. So I did pull in all the data for all the short information, the latest information that we have from 11:15. So it is about a week and a half or so late now. But so we'll go through that. We'll look at the miners as far as their market caps, their enterprise value, things like that per hash rate as well. See how that's stacking up right now. And then we'll look at miners today, Bitcoin, and then we'll get to your guys' Q&A. So it should be pretty easy as always. Thank you so much for coming in here as always. And I thought this would be a great way for some of you guys that can't participate in the night streams. You guys can participate here in today and ask questions as well. All right, but as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. Full disclosure below that. And then if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's get into the charts here. We got Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin was on another run for trying to get to 100,000 today. We had the CME futures actually get above 100,000. So, I mean, we still have a little bit of time left, a couple more hours in the day before we transition over to the new day. And then obviously we're into the weekend. I'm hoping for not much action over the weekend, and hopefully Bitcoin stays flat. I don't want to see any CME futures gaps come Monday. But right now, Bitcoin's at 97,575. We were up quite nicely today. We were up approximately 2%. We were up a little bit higher than that, but then we came back down. So that's not too bad, right? We're still up, so that's a good thing. We maybe have bottomed out here on, when was this? On Tuesday, where we were at a low of 90,682. So we're up nicely from that, approximately 7,000 and change. So that's looking good. The RSI is also looking good on the 1 hour chart right now. You can see where it's at. It's under the 70 mark here. We're at 68. Last time we were back here, price was definitely lower on that on the daily chart. 4 hour chart looks the same way. Seeing a lot of good things here on that one. 1 hour chart the same. The peaks here, you can see we were up higher in price than we were prior on those, so that's looking good. 15-minute chart, same thing. So I think it's going to be a good weekend. Hopefully not a wild weekend. Like I said, I don't want huge gains over the weekend, but I just want to stay where we are. Hopefully we don't get any major dips on those. But on the miners today, miners did really well for the most part, except for one. HODL was down for some reason. It was down 0.11%. Bitfarms was up 2%. BitDeer up another 17%. Cypher almost 4%. Sorry. Cleanspark was 5.25% up roughly. CORZ was up 1.3. Hive was up just almost 1%. HODL, like I said, was down. IREN was up almost 10%, 9.6. Marathon was up 2.3. Riot was up 2.7. Wolf was up 8.7, almost 8.8 there. So pretty good day for a short day. Today was a short trading day. We only traded for about 4 hours. The market closed at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, or I think it was 12 or 12:30 my time, something like that. The ETFs did pretty good as well today. Small miners did pretty good also. Nothing major on those, so that's all looking pretty good here. And then if we look at the monthly update for November here so far with Bitcoin, it's up 38%. Really good month for us. I expect another good month here in December as well. The network hash rate, on the other hand, is still increasing here a little bit. On the 30-day average, we are at right now 735. We peaked here just a little, like a day or two ago at 741. We are having a little of a reprieve right now on it, especially on the 7-day average. We can see here that we got down to as of the 27th. So that's basically, what is that? 2 days old, roughly. 726 exahash on that. And if we look at the 1-day averages as well, see if we had any recent peaks here. Our still current peak here is at 889 exahash. So that's looking pretty in line with what we were thinking is going to happen here. Okay, let's take a look at this stuff that we do have to talk about here, which isn't much. Let's take a look at the market cap on the miners really quick. You can see how everything stacks up right now. Mara is leading the pack, 8.8 billion here, followed by Core, almost 5 billion, Riot at 4.2, Cleanspark at 3.5, TeraWolf at 3, IREN at 2.6, almost 2.7, along with HOT8 here at 2.6, Cypher at 2.3, BitDeer 1.8, Bitfarms 965 million, and Hive at 484 million here. Shares outstanding, you can see that. We're still waiting on one of the companies. I think it's Cleanspark to report their quarterly results. It's also their fiscal year end, so I'm hoping we get that in like next week or two from them, but we'll wait and see what we get from them. Enterprise metrics. This is as of today. The latest numbers have been updated here for the ending stock prices for today. And here's what we have right now. We still have currently Hive, Marathon, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Riot, and IREN probably being the most undervalued here in that order, more or less. And then if we look at future hash rate growth for these companies, we got Bitfarms being the most undervalued, followed by Hive, Cleanspark, Marathon, Riot, and then IREN as well. And then you got some of these guys that are definitely a little overvalued. TeraWolf Core, HUT 8 as well, over 200 million here per exahash for future hash rate growth. That is definitely overweight for my taste, at least my liking. All right, let's get into the big thing here, shorted, right? Are the miners getting shorted more or are they getting shorted less here? And we'll take a look at this here really quick, but here's the current number of shares being shorted for these guys here as of the 15th of November. So like I said, about a week and a half ago. And you can see your Hive is the least as far as share count being shorted, only 3.3 million, followed by HUT about 8.7, IREN about 10 million, BitDeer about 12.5, Cypher 24, 33, almost 34 for Core, Riot at 41 million here, Bitfarms at 42.5. We got Cleanspark at almost 50 million here, Tariff at 54.7, and then Marathon 64 million shares shorted on that one. But if you look at the percentage of average float shorted, things look a little bit differently here. Hive is still the least here, 2.57. Now you got IREN kind of like in second spot of least being shorted at 5.89. Cypher at 10% along with HUT 8. You have Bitfarms 11%, Riot at 13, like Corn 14. Then you had a big jump here to Taro for it's at 19, Cleanspark at 20, along with Marathon 20.7, and then BitDeer here is the most shorted based on percentage of float, 21.86. So that's definitely interesting to look at that. And then you can see here the number of shares shorted since from last time. So last time was 10/31, so basically 2 weeks out from when they do report this. And we had quite a bit of change here. So Marathon was down 5.6 million shares shorted. Cleanspark was down 5.4 million shares. Riot was down 5.39. Terrible 4.7. HUT down 4 million. IREN down 2.5. Hive down 1 million. And Cypher just down 130,000 shares less shorted here. But we see now that Bitfarms, BitDeer, and Core are having an increase in the number of shares being shorted on them. Core, I'm not sure why that one's getting an increase on it. I know the stock has had a nice run up here. I'm guessing that's possibly why it's being shorted maybe a little bit more here. Same thing with BitDeer, right? We've seen a nice run up in that one. Bitfarms, I think for Bitfarms, maybe because of their earnings reports that came out. I think that might be the reason for it. Why that's being shorted a little bit more. I'd have to look at the dates to see if those dates line up, if it was before or after that they reported. But that's the only thing I can think of here. And then them obviously not getting to 12 exahash by the end of the third quarter. Them now also stating it's going to take them a little bit longer to get to 21 exahash, looking to first half of 2025 now. So those are some of the reasons. But the other ones, I like seeing this. This is good. This leads me to believe that the people, institutions, hedge funds, whatever they were shorting, the miners are starting to realize that, yes, going forward, the miners will have a heck of a lot more revenue coming in, with Bitcoin being up over 100,000 in time now. And their just profit margin is going to be just so much better that you really don't want to be shorting them at this point, I think. So it'll be interesting to see when we get the update for the end of this month here for November, which will be probably, I think, November 30th or November 31st. And we'll get that probably in about a week or two into December, usually when that comes out. So we'll see how that progresses if we're continuing to see a decline in the number of shares being shorted in these companies, which would be good because I think that's probably the wise thing to do here going forward for these guys. Then we have the number of shares shorted versus market cap of these companies here. So you can see that Marathon, the value is being shorted as 1.8 billion. CORZ about 700 million. Riot 567 million. Cleanspark 714 million. Terrible 584 million. IREN only 157 million here, so that's not that bad, right? HUD 8 275 million. Cypher 238 million. BitDeer 394 million compared to where they are at 1.8, right? That's almost a quarter, like we're seeing here. BitDeer, that's a lot. Bitfarms, 1/10 of that, so 108 million being shorted so far on them. And then you got Hive here at about 12.4 million, I think it looks like. So that's the way things are stacking up. And then here's the percent change in share shorted from last review. Like we talked about, we saw a sizable decrease in a lot of these guys here. HUD was down the most, 31%. IREN or Hive was the second one, 23% down, followed by IREN. And then you got everybody else here. Riot was down 11%, Cleanspark 9.7%, TeraWolf down almost 8%, Marathon almost 8% as well, and then you had Core being up 15% increase from last reported numbers, and BitDeer being up 17%, along with Bitfarms being up just a little bit here. Price change percentage from 12 weeks ago, so this is how the miners have performed from 12 weeks ago. You can see Bitfarms being up the lowest, only up 18% roughly. You got HUT being up the most, 188%, Cypher 151%, BitDeer 111%. Then you got TeraWolf at 99%, Core 95%, Marathon 95% almost as well, Riot at 92%, Cleanspark 86%, IREN 67%, and Hive at 58% on that. So interesting to look at that as well. And then here you can see the over time, how that number of shares shorted has changed for these guys here. So we are seeing an increase in BitDeer here, just here recently. And I probably have to update this too. Let me update that really quick because I'm seeing 1031 instead of 1035. Where's that at? That is down here. Let's bring all of this stuff down. Let's see, can I bring it down? Yep, that makes it easier. Okay, go back up here. So now we got the latest. And you can see the increase here happening on BitDeer. Going here to Bitfarms as well. You're seeing definitely an increase in the number of shares shorted for them here. It's the highest it's been here since basically beginning of this year, pretty much in January. And you got Cypher here. Cypher's been kind of flat around this range here for a while, ever since probably middle of the year. And you got Cleanspark here. Okay, so Cleanspark peaked at 55 million shares at the end of October. We're now down, so that's good there, right? So maybe that's a continuation that we're going to see going forward. Core has been kind of around this line too, so it's not the highest that they've been. It's not the lowest, but that's kind of been around if you look at it just on average, it looks like that's right around where they've been over the last 6 months or so, 5 or 6 months. Then you got Hive. Hive has been coming down actually, which is kind of interesting to see there. HUT8 was up at, what was it, September, end of September, 15.8 million shares. It's been coming down as well for them, so that's looking much better for them. Maybe that's why also the stock has been running up on it. IREN kind of flat also here the last couple months, but it has been increasing nonetheless. Then we got Marathon. Oh my gosh, Marathon's been all over the place here. This one's wild. But that one has been coming down also, and you're also seeing that go up in value here recently, especially with them doing the convertible notes and buying more Bitcoin and all that stuff. So that's definitely a good thing for them there. And then you got Riot also. Riot was majorly shorted here at 61 million here in June, towards the end of June, and then it's been coming down also. It's been kind of flat from there, but it's been coming down. So that's a good sign. And then Terrible here has been increasing, and then it's down this last month as well, or the last period, at least it was reported. So that's kind of interesting how that's going to work out. So I want to see a couple more reporting dates where we see the number of shares being shorted going down, which would be great, because at that point, I think the miners will actually do really well. So if we continue to see that, I think the miners will do actually very well going forward, especially as the shorts are being covered or they're just, stopping their short positions, whatever the case might be. But that's going to be really, really good for the miners going forward. Especially as Bitcoin goes up to 100,000, 120,000, 150,000, whatever it's going to go to, that's going to make them a lot more profitable. And we might see some short squeezes on some of these guys as well. And then if they come out with some good news stories where they get HBCI deals, what else are we going to have here? Come at the end of the year, we're going to have some guidance probably for next year as far as where they're growing. We should see that from Cleanspark here within the next 2 weeks when they report, I'm guessing, because that's their end of the fiscal year. So they should be probably putting out some guidance for next year as well on that one. So it's going to be interesting, I think. And I think the miners are going to do very well going forward as long as this kind of plays out where the shorts are starting to cover, rotate from other things as well. And in the next 9 months, we'll be looking really good. At least that's the thought process. Unless Bitcoin tanks, and then this is the peak that we're at, which I don't think we're at that point yet. But we'll see. Okay, so that's it. Spreadsheets, as always, are available to all my Patreon members. I will get this updated to you guys today. I didn't do anything yesterday or the day before because obviously the holiday and things like that, but I will get this updated for you guys as well today. Link for that is down in the description if you want to join. It's $8 a month, and then you might find a couple spots that are still $4 and $5 a month. Okay. All right, let's get into the Q&A side of things here. See what you guys have to say, what your thoughts are on all this stuff. And this is where I want to go. And then why do I have that one popping up still? Bear with me. While I turned that one off, I was messing around with some stuff here. There we go. Okay. So let's see here. Oh, as always, preface your questions with a question mark or a question or Q. And I'm going to scroll up on the comments a little bit, try and find at least one question where we can start having the questions. And then I'm going to make my way down. It will take me a little while. Be patient, but I will get to all your guys' questions as well. All right. So be patient here while I scroll up and see if I can find some questions here. All right, there we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so Ahmed asks, question, what do you mean by the futures gap when you are talking about Bitcoin going up over the weekend? Okay, so for that, let's go to the Bitcoin chart. Let's go on that. So when we talk about the CME futures gap, this is what we're talking about here, and this will be a really good way to explain it. So you have Bitcoin here regularly, right? Bitcoin trades 24/7, right? The CME futures don't trade 24/7. They don't trade over the weekends. And then we get these kind of gaps here, right? Over the weekend. So this is from Friday. This is now Monday, right? We get that gap. We don't like seeing these gaps because these gaps tend to get filled, or they like to get filled. That isn't 100% that they get filled. I mean, it's pretty close, like 90-some% of them that do get filled. And you can see this, we've had gaps in the past as well, and they like to definitely get filled. You see it here. We had a gap, we went up, we came back down, and then we filled that gap. Eventually, we had another gap here to the upside, so we went up. You have a gap. There was another gap. Let me see. There was a big gap here a while back that we had that wanted to get filled right here. We had a gap, right? Bitcoin was going up. It came back down. So those gaps like to get filled. That's why I say I don't like seeing gaps over the weekends. Going into Monday on Bitcoin with CME futures because they do like to get filled. Now, there are instances like where we are right now where this gap might take several months, maybe a year to two before it gets filled, right? If we have another bear market, we might come down here and fill this gap like we have done in the past as well. So gaps can be open for a while, but eventually they do like to get filled, but not always, not 100%. All right, let's go back here. All right. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see. Manuel says, hi, Seb, finally catching live. Yeah, I'm doing a little bit earlier. That's why I did it. I wanted to maybe get some of you guys that couldn't join me at night that I normally do these things to come in and ask questions as well. All right, let's see here. Question, will the miners 5x from the current prices? For example, Cleanspark, will it go to 65 at BTC peak of 160,000? If that's a peak, I was thinking more like when we get to 180,000, 190,000, right around there, maybe I would see Cleanspark around between $60 and $70. That's kind of what I was guessing, estimating at from previous cycles, but we could go much higher than that also. If Bitcoin goes to 200,000, 250,000, wherever it might be, we could see Cleanspark going higher than that as well. But yeah, conservatively, I would think that's kind of where they should be really valued at that point with the amount they're going to be generating in revenue. All right. What is the main difference between Riot and Cleanspark project in your opinion, and what is your prediction for them? Thanks, Seb. What is the main difference between them? Growth-wise, they're pretty much close, right? They both have similar targets, at least right now. Cleanspark is getting to 37 exahash by the end of the year. Riot is getting to, I think, 35, 36, so they're pretty close there. And then they're targeting, obviously, a lot more into next year as well, potentially. So on that side of things, they're kind of similar. It's operations where you really have the differences there. Cleanspark historically has operated much better uptime. So that's always, I like seeing that. Riot has had issues in the past. They're working through those issues. They're getting things closer to their target, but it's not there yet. So that's the big difference there. HODL-wise, they're pretty close to each other as well. Cleanspark, I think, is close to like 9,000 right now, and Riot's got, what, 10,000 something? So they're pretty close on HODL. And then the only other difference is the sites that they have. Riot has two sites, one mega site with Corsicana, and Rockdale is another pretty big site as well, whereas Cleanspark is more diversified, being in different places. And then I just remember that Riot does have a facility in, was it Kentucky or Tennessee? I can't remember which one they bought. Somebody, Block, I think they bought, that had a site there. So that's kind of the differences that you're seeing there. And just differences of approach as far as how they're growing, right? Cleanspark's buying up all these little sites. They're increasing the megawatts there and bulling out. So it's different approaches. All right. Angie says, hi, Seb and Miner investors. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Cheers. Yeah, I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving as well. Thanks for coming in. All right. Let's see. Okay. Seb, when do we expect Bitfarms to announce their exahash growth? Probably, I'm guessing when they report the fiscal year numbers, we'll probably get some updates for them as far as what their guidance is. Right? That's kind of when they usually do it. They plan out ahead for a year, and usually we'll see where they go from here. All right. Let's see your question. Since July, we've had a decent dip at the beginning of each month for BTC. Do you think the same will happen next week, then take off? Have we had a... Let's take a look at it here. Let's go to the charts. Charts tell us everything we need to know. Let's see. There's Bitcoin. That's daily. Let's take a look at the... can we see it on the daily here? Let's see. Where's the beginning? Beginning was here Tuesday, October 29th, 30th. And then, yeah, we did dip, it looks like. But we were dipping, yeah, towards the end of the month and into the beginning in that one, into November. And then let's take a look at beginning of September or end of September. Yeah, we dipped here as well. Yeah, maybe we could possibly see a dip. But we've had Let me see here, August, end of August, we dipped before the end of August here. And we also, into September, we dipped down in September. Anything's possible, but Bitcoin going in a nice bull run here, maybe not, right? We'll have to wait and see. That's the case. I think we would have probably started the dip now, being that it's still Friday and people are trading it. And then the new month starts on Sunday here. So maybe not. But we've had a dip prior. Who knows? I really don't know. Time will tell. Either way, short term, yes, it's going to be volatile. Long term, where do you think Bitcoin's going to go? Do you think it's going to go down, or do you think it's going to actually go up? I tend to believe it's going to go up even more. So I'm not too concerned about the day-to-day action unless you're actually trading it, which I'm not. All right. Let's see. Jaggerfloat says, wow, my first live as a UK resident. Well, great. Thanks for all the work, Seb. You're the best. Thank you so much, and appreciate you coming in here. Ryan's in the house as well. Hi, Ryan. Let's see. All right. Is the share short adjusted for the dilution? Otherwise, it does not make sense to look at. What do you mean by in comparison to dilution? We're using the latest number of shares that are percentage of float or float shares, right? That's what I'm using the data for. If we have dilution in there, yes, that float is going to increase as well. All right. Let's see. What is happening with Bitfarms? Should we be worried that it never catches up? Yeah, what's happening with them? I'm still, time will tell, obviously, but I'm thinking that maybe the Riot, having 19.9% of the shares there, is still having a negative impact on the stock price there because people are possibly fearful, investors are fearful that Riot at any point might sell the shares there, bringing the stock down more. Them not getting to their targets for the end of the year, 21 exahash, probably didn't have a good impact on it as well. So we really need to see what they provide us for Monday's update for November, how much exahash they actually install. And at that point, I'll be making my decision whether or not I want to have half of my shares in there, sell the rest, and put it into like Cleanspark and IREN, or if I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit longer. All right. Question. What is your gut feeling about Bitfarms report on Monday? Are we going to see 2+, so exahash installed, or more bad news? If we don't get good growth, will you remain bullish for a 5 to 7x return this cycle? I think they will still do well, right? But maybe not the 5-7. Maybe we're looking now at maybe 3 to 5 or something like that. I don't know. It just depends on how well they execute. That's the big thing, is they got to get their hash rate going and quickly here. So yeah, I'm expecting, I'd like to see at least 2 exahash. If we get 2 exahash, okay, we're going in the right direction. We could get a couple more exahash here in December, maybe another 1 to 2, based on the number of end miners that they're delivering to Stronghold facilities, right? For what did they say? 20,000 of those going to be delivered there. That should get us closer to like 4 exahash. Okay. Question. This is random, but do you have any opinion on SMCI, Supermicrocomputer? I know Supermicrocomputer does a lot of servers for the HPC customers there. There's also I think there was some bad publicity there recently about, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought it was on something about the books there. I could be wrong on it, but I thought I saw something on that, and I think that's why the stock hasn't, or got beat up a little bit. But I don't really follow it. I just remember seeing something on either Twitter or on like CNBC or something like that. So I really don't know. But as long as they get their act together and they provide the servers for the HPC and that grows, they should do pretty good, I would think. Let's see. What do you think of the chances are Bitfarms gets bought out by Riot? I think they're still pretty low. Right. Bitfarms is being valued at about $1 billion right now, so you need to give it at least probably a 50% premium. So you have to buy them out at $1.5 billion. Could they do it? Yes, but then you're overpaying for it, so you're better off building by yourself. So it doesn't make much sense there. It was much more appealing to buy them when they were only valued like 600 million or something, 700 million, whatever it was at that point. But even at that point, it was a kind of low ball offer. Okay, why do you think they are shorting the miners to make more profits? It's a hedge. So they're hedging their bets against, like, they're going along MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, the ETFs maybe even as well. And they're hedging their bets with the miners. That's kind of the way that they've been doing things. All right. Let's see here. Thank you for your time, Seb. You're very welcome. When are you planning to do revaluation for Bitfarms? I will do a revaluation on them along with everybody else once we have everybody report their quarterly results, which I'm just waiting on Cleanspark right now. They're the only one that's holding things up. All right. Okay. All right, what else? Do you think Riot will get to 40 by this bull run? Yeah, I mean, they're what, 12? Yeah, I think they should definitely get there at least. Okay. Hi, Sub, can you tell me what were the performances of undervalued miners in the past cycle? Do they usually surprise and peak with good results? What were the performances of remember last cycle, I think Marathon at that point was only, I mean, they got to like 3 point something exahash, I think, but they had huge growth plans. They were, projecting 21 exahash. They also had the largest HODL at that point. I think they also bought Bitcoin. They bought like 4,000 Bitcoin in that cycle as well. And that one did really, really well, even though they really stumbled into, when was it, 2022, right? It's 2022, yeah. 2022 is when they really stumbled as far as their operations and things like that. So I remember that one. I'm trying to go back in my memory here. Who else was there? IREN, I think at that time was just, I think they went public in 2021, like the summer of 2021 during the peak bull run part of it. They had pretty good targets as well. And I mean, there were, I think they had like 6 exahash by, when was it? Next year, I think it was. So they had really good, strong growth for them, but they also stumbled a little bit where they couldn't pay the special purpose vehicles that they had for the machines there. They had to give those back. This was back in, the fall of 2022, I think it was. Cleanspark was like the only one that really did fantastically well, but they also they pivoted to being a Bitcoin miner in January of 2021, which was the year of the bull cycle, right? So they didn't get, I think they got to like 1.5 or 2 exahash by the end of the year, comparing from where they started at 1 exahash or 100 petahash. So they actually did a pretty good job there, and then they did a fantastic job growing the bear market. So it's kind of hard to really see the performance of the miners at that point because you had so many new entrants and you only had a couple that were kind of like the old dogs from the prior cycle of 2017. You had Hive, Hut8. Who else did you have in there? I think DMG was part of it also. Mara came on the scene, I think. That was probably after 2017, I think I want to say. Same thing with Riot, somewhere around there. So it's tough to really see, if you look at the performances and their growth and things like that. A lot of it was mostly on just projections for growth that you were hearing from these companies, right? How much they're going to be increasing their hash rate, how much they're going to be mining Bitcoin, how much they're going to be hodling, all that stuff was based on a lot of that. And we saw Marathon go up like 70x from the bottom. Riot went up 40 some, I think, x. Hut8 and Hive went up like 17x, 18x, somewhere in the 20s even, I think, something like that. So you did have a lot of ones that were outperforming Bitcoin by a large number, right? But the big one was Marathon. The Marathon, like I said, was based on their growth projections of 21 exahash. I think they were targeting that within like a year or something like that, going from 3 exahash, I think, where they were at, 3 to 5. Yeah, 3 to 4 exahash, I think, is where they were in 2021. And getting to 21 exahash, I mean, that was huge growth for them. But they stumbled on that one. Didn't get that installed until 2023, I believe. So, all right. All right. Does Bitfarms worry you that you will fall behind if you redeploy capital the other miners have already run up? It does kind of worry me, yeah. I'm still, the only good thing with Bitfarms that I can see right now is their operations are still fantastic, right? The only thing is, yes, they're falling behind on their targets for exahash growth, which is not great. I don't like seeing that. But operations are great. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot going for them still, I think. It's just they got to execute on it. And then why is the stock still where it's at? I think it should be valued at least 2x from where it's at right now, just to be valued more fairly with the other peers in the industry. And they're not. So the only thing I can think of there is the Riot overhang having an impact on them. Let's see. Most of the miner charts have a gap. Do you think Bitfarms will come down and close it? I think most of the miners already closed it. Didn't they close it like this past week, last week? If you look at it on the daily here, Bitfarms, I mean, yeah, they do have a gap down here, right? Oh, sorry, my stomach's growling. Starting to get a little hungry here. But yeah, they let's see. I think majority else, yeah, they filled it down here for them. They have a slight gap here today from where they were on Wednesday. Cypher filled that gap over here as well. Cleanspark has filled this gap. They haven't filled this gap in here though. So that's something that might be out there for us still. But in the bull run, it doesn't, like I said, don't have to get filled all the time. CORZ has a gap over here, right? Hasn't gotten filled yet either. Who else do we have here? Let's take a look at like Hive. I don't think they had a gap. They got filled as well. Hut 8. See, that gap didn't get filled. This gap didn't get filled either. So they don't have to always get filled, but eventually they do like to get filled. Here's one from IREN. IREN had a gap here that slightly got filled here with this little wick here, but not completely. And you got Marathon as well. Marathon, I'm pretty sure got filled except for this gap down here, but this gap definitely got filled. And then Riot has a gap here that hasn't been filled in either. So there's a couple that haven't gotten their gaps filled in. But Bitcoin going up here, especially if we get that nice run up here in December potentially, they may not get filled. So then the interesting part would be, or an interesting question would be, if we have like a sell-off towards the end of December, will these miners then come down and fill these gaps that are still unfilled? Maybe, I don't know. Time will tell on that part. So something to be mindful of as well. All right, there's that one. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, question. Seb, just asking, can you turn up your volume? A lot of the time I listen while doing other things. Sometimes it's hard to hear. Thank you. Volume is like 95, 98% up all as it is right now. I know I'm soft-spoken as it is. And then if I turn it up too much, I have people complaining that they then hear me breathing and everything else. That drives them nuts. It's like, I can't win. So maybe, I don't know if you can have headphones in. Try that. Okay. Let's see. Brian asks, how can you bait out now on Bitfarms now? I'm not bailing out yet. I want to see what their November numbers are like. And then I'll make my decision from there. I've held on to, I've been buying Bitfarms since, when was it? January of 2022. Right, at $5, I've been buying it, and I've been buying it all the way down to where it was, like, what, 40 cents or something like that in the bear market. So I dollar cost average all the way down. I'm still up in the green on it, so that's a good thing because I did dollar cost average down, lowered my average cost on their shares. But yeah, I need to see how they're going to be progressing forward. Brian says, Bitfarms $7 by mid-January. That would be fantastic. What else? Okay. Thoughts on Cleanspark, top this cycle? I still think we're going to get to like $60 somewhere around there, maybe even higher, but I'm being conservative on it right now. Let's see here. Cleanspark announces their full fiscal results will happen December 2nd, so Monday? Are you sure about that? I didn't see any announcement from them, but let me take a look here. Are you seeing it on like TradingView or something like that? Earnings, I'm showing here for them. When is that being reported? They're showing Wednesday, the 18th of December on TradingView, at least for Cleanspark. Because typically they would put out a press release that they're going to do a earnings call and all that stuff. Earnings will be released on such and such date, and I haven't seen that yet. So I don't think it's going to be on Tuesday or on Monday. I'd love to see it on Monday. I think it'd be great, but I don't think so. And okay, let's go back to the questions here. Seb, can I sell right at 60 cycle to cycle? I think we will get there. I just don't know exactly when it's going to happen. And as long as they continue to improve their operational uptime, all that stuff, I think they will get there. John, thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's see. All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Sebastian. At this point, do we have an estimated timeline when all the shorts will be resolved? No, I think as Bitcoin price continues to go up, we'll see a decline in the number of shorts as time goes on. But when will that happen? You know, it could be not until Bitcoin's 150,000, 180,000, 200,000. We just don't know. Right? There's always going to be somebody there that thinks the miners are overvalued based on fundamentals. And at certain points, yes, they will be overvalued based on fundamentals because things are just so bullish and you get all this FOMO and everything else that, yeah, you know, I can agree with them at some point. All right. Why do they hedge by shorting the miners? Isn't it best option, the cheapest? Well, the reason they're hedging on the miners because right now, well, at least go back about a month and a half back, right? The profitability on the miners was much worse than where it is right now. Bitcoin being at 90-some thousand, 95, whatever, 97 it is right now. So that's the reason why. That's been the case, I think. And isn't the best option the cheapest? Not always. There might be issues there as well. All right. What percentage of current Bitcoin production is attributed to exchange listed companies? Okay, so what percentage of current Bitcoin production? Let's see. The ones that I track, at least the 11 or so, we could possibly do the numbers on that based on, well, let's take a look here. The ones I'm tracking, so you got 450 Bitcoin per day, right? Let me see if I can do this. You guys won't see it. I'm doing it in my calculator here. So you got 450 Bitcoin per day times, let's do 30 days in a month, roughly, right? 30 days. So you got 13,500 in a month. Let me go to my sheets here, and I'll show you guys what I'm doing as well. Where's it at? BTC mined. BTC. Let's see. I think I might be able to find that. Where's it at? Miner comparison. All right. So here is the number of Bitcoin mined by the miners here in October. We had a total of, what is that? 3,569. So we'll just call it 3,570. So let's do this. Let's do 3,570 divided by 13,500, and we get about 26%. So that's how much they mine, 26% of what's out there, at least in October, right? November numbers might be a little bit different. But it could also be based on, you could do a comparison on, where is it at? I think, is this it? Minor search hash rate growth, no, BTC hash rate comparison, this one. So the miners have about 27% of the network hash rate, right? So that's kind of the way you could look at it also. That's how much they're going to be mining for the most part. I should have just looked at that in the beginning. Okay. It's nice having all these data points. Definitely helps us trying to figure some of the stuff out. All right, let's go back to Q&A. Okay. All right, can you show how much Riot is mining in November? I don't have Riot's wallet address, so I can't really see how they're doing on that one. But they should be mining more than they did in October, and we'll see. All right. Do you think the U.S. will pass a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act in 2025? How much would that impact your BTC price targets? It already impacted my BTC price targets already. That you got so much more institutions involvement, companies buying it. You got Microsoft looking to possibly put it on their balance sheet through their shareholder vote coming up here in December. So we have that. You got other companies buying it. It's just a different cycle altogether, I think, right now. And if they do get that on, which it does look like it will happen, plus you have states putting on strategic reserves as well. So that's going to be happening here this year, which they might actually get that before the United States does it. You got possibly other countries doing it as well. So my original target for this cycle was Bitcoin getting 280,000. Right now, I'm thinking like 250,000. Should be a pretty good estimate as far as where we might end up at. All right. Question, is most produced secretly by nation states or private actors? Most is probably by private actors. You got Bitmain. Don't exclude Bitmain from this, right? Bitmain has probably, it's estimated they have somewhere around, right, this was probably going back a couple months here, so they might be even higher than where people were thinking it, but people were thinking they were like 40 exahash to 60 exahash of machines being hosted by others for them. So they're one of the biggest ones probably out there right now, and they're private. You also have other private miners out there as well that are large that we just don't know about, don't hear about. People in the mining space, the CEOs and things like that might know about those guys, but we don't know about them. So yeah, I still think it's mostly private. There might be some nation states getting into it as well, but I think it's still a small minority there. All right, let's see here. Do you think BTC miners will have a higher bottom after the bull run ends? Also, will miners ever stop diluting shareholders? All right, so a higher bottom, and that's depending where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin goes down 80%, the miners going back down to where the bottoms that they had before. So that's not going to be anything to even question there. But The only difference might be is if we have an extended cycle where Bitcoin continues to go up in value over the next couple of years, where it doesn't have a huge pullback. We might have a pullback 20, 30%, right? And then continue going back up. That would be different. At that point, the miners would have a lower bottoms, basically. They should, at least in theory, depending on where the network hash rate goes, all that stuff goes. And then also, will the miners ever stop diluting shareholders? No. The miners are in growth mode. They will have to dilute shareholders because of the growth requirements. If you're not growing, you're dying, so they need to do that. They might have some more options to them coming up to them. I mean, some companies are already doing the convertible notes, convertible debt, right? Senior notes. I doubt that they're going to take on regular debt unless it's favorable terms and low interest rates. They did that last cycle. A lot of them got hurt because of it. I don't think they're going to be doing anything that's BTC-backed loans because that also hurt them. So they don't have a lot of strings to pull on when it comes to getting cash. The only thing they can really do is dilute. And as long as it's accretive, I'm okay with it. Okay, let's see. Do you believe the Trump tariffs will affect any miners? They might affect them a little bit, right? A lot of the machines that they're getting are out of China, from Bitmain. And then you got, I think, was it Bityear's a Singapore company? Not sure how that's going to be affected there. I don't think it will. But a 10% increase on the tariffs coming in from China, that means the miners are going to be paying like $300, $400 more per machine. So that, in my estimation, that's like an extra month or two possibly of added ROI timeframe to them. So it's not that bad for them. Okay. Realistically, do you think Bitcoin could blow all previous estimates away, i.e. 500,000? Too much adoption, hodling, I think 150, 200 is low. Possibly, right? We just don't know how much adoption we get going forward. Right now, we're seeing a lot of it. I mean, if you get states, governments, nation states, everybody's getting into it, yeah, we could possibly go higher. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think next year's going to be definitely very interesting to see where we actually go. Because next year is when we usually would peak. And if we don't peak next year and we continue going up higher, it's going to be a different cycle. All right. How do the CME gaps technically work, and why would they theoretically have to be filled? Something about trading desks. Yeah, I mean, they like to get those things filled, the trading desks do. But the way that they work is on Friday, wherever the stock ends for the CME futures, right? And then Bitcoin goes up like it did here recently. You can see the gap on it. And then if you look backwards, historically, they do like to get filled. There's always a caveat to that. It's not 100%, right? But majority of the time, they do get filled. Okay, see here. Charlie says, also, you're right on SMCI is down for cooking the books. Okay, yeah, Schwab gives all the BTC miners F ratings. Yeah, I mean, that's Charles Schwab, though. Okay. Let's see. Do I sell my house to buy more? No, do not sell your house. Yeah, do not get yourself leveraged into that, because what if we get rug pulled with Bitcoin and everything else and things tank? No, do not do that. All right. Andre, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Let's see. Question Seb, you are already in green with Bitfarms. You are holder over 2 years, so hang on a couple more months. You know they're gonna succeed in their plan. Whatever if it is Q1 2025 gains are coming in Q3 2025. Okay, yeah, I gotta look at it. I gotta do some soul searching on that one for sure, right? Fundamentally, when I look at the metrics, all that stuff, it looks like a great, way undervalued company. But then some things I don't control, right? The things that I don't control is how much Riot shares are in there, when Riot sells the shares. So that's kind of the things that are beyond my control that I don't have any control over. Let's see. Manuel says, you're the best, Seb. I found your channel almost 1 year ago, and since then I watch almost every day. Oh, well, thank you so much. Appreciate the kind remarks there. Okay, question. Is it true if you have high sell orders and with no intention of selling, your shares cannot be shorted? I've heard that too before. Excuse me. I was getting dry. I don't know how much truth there is to that. Also, I think I've tried it before on, I think I tried it on Webull to put in a sell order at a higher price than what the market is at right now, and will let me do it. So I don't know if you can actually do that even. Let's see here. Sebastian, did you read about Brazil wanting to start a Bitcoin switcher? Yeah, I saw that there was possibly a bill being introduced there for that. Yeah, so it's just, more and more countries are getting into it. Some might want to try to front run getting into Bitcoin before the United States does. Alexander, thank you so much for your comment there. Let's see. Okay. You say that this cycle is different, but it's better or worse than the last one? It's better. It should be better for Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners in that regard, right? And the reason for that is we have a lot of the bad actors out already. FTX, Three Arrows. We have all that DeFi stuff out with yields and everything else. I thought those were bad when I'm like, man, those yields are way too high. Something's fishy about it, so I never really got into it. And luckily I didn't get into it because a lot of people got hurt. But we got a lot of bad actors out. We have now Bitcoin basically being approved by the SEC, right, for Bitcoin ETFs. You have that. You got nation states talking about it, nations, countries, states, cities, possibilities. All that stuff is happening. So it's a lot more adoption happening a lot faster than we had in the past cycles. Let's see here. Question. Hi, Seb. I saw a chart where institutions are buying even more miners these last months. If true, can this cause a short squeeze? Thanks. Yeah, it can, right? But you also have to look at the percentage that's being shorted. It's not that high. It's like 20% at most right now. I think we need to see that probably closer to like 30, 40% in order to get a good short squeeze on some of these guys, maybe. Okay. Jordan has a question here. Where are the people that were selling miners to buy MicroStrategy 500? Yeah, I told him to be careful. It's getting a little too frothy for my liking, especially MicroStrategy 500. The MNAV multiple was just a little too high for my liking as well. So I told people to be careful because it looks a little overheated. All right. Let's see here. Chester says, I think the idea of having a super cycle is risky. Excuse me. I heard the same thing last cycle. If you have the mentality and you're wrong, you'll be left in the bag. It's not worth the risk. Yeah, so I agree with you there. I mean, we didn't have as much adoption, though. That's the only difference that I'm seeing here from last cycle. That and now nation states and countries getting in on talking about Bitcoin being as a strategic reserve, right? That's a big difference there, I think. But nonetheless, yeah, I don't want anybody holding their bags until Bitcoin peaks because we don't know where Bitcoin's going to peak. So, like I said before, I recommend taking profits along the way. If you're up, 1x, 2x, 3x, whatever you're up, start taking some profits. There's no shame in doing that. Put some good gains in the bed, I guess you could say. Phil, great work, Seb. I'm here almost a year too. Well, thank you so much for being here that long, guys. And I wish I could do these things like earlier in the day as well. But I work during the day, as you guys probably know already. And then I do this after spending time with the family, kids, all that stuff. And I do that in the afternoons, late afternoons, actually, late evenings. All right. Let's see. Why don't all HODL miners do convertible notes? From the look of it, there doesn't seem to have much downside considering the time they will expire, 3 to 4 years. The downside is you're giving those convertible notes usually a premium. We saw Marathon give them, 55% premium from where the stock was trading. And at that point, so you still have dilution because of it. And I'm still on the fence as far as my thoughts on miners actually buying Bitcoin, right? They can mine it at a much lower cost. Why do that? I would rather see them invest that money into growing their infrastructure. That's kind of my thinking, at least. We'll have to see how this cycle plays out, and then we'll get some data points on it. Because even Mara, was it 2 years ago, they ran a study internally. Fred talked about this, where they compared it just selling everything that they mine, right? That was one metric that they were using. The other one was selling half of what they mine, hodling the rest, and then the other one was hodling everything. Excuse me, everything. And they said that the 50% model seemed like it worked out the best. So, so they were even seeing the thing. I think, but wow, my throat's getting really dry. I think they'd also noticed from MicroStrategy how that playbook is playing out. So I think that might be having a huge impact on it as well. Let's see here. MicroStrategy has outperformed miners by a lot this cycle. If we get a bear market in 2026, are you also looking to buy lots of MSTR? If we get a bear market, yeah, I'll probably get into MSTR next time, depending on where its performance is compared to Bitcoin. If it's Bitcoin's coming down, MicroStrategy is also coming down. It should come down harder than Bitcoin does, along with the miners. Miners should do even worse, right? So I'll try to get into probably like MicroStrategy before I would get into the miners, maybe just a little bit, because this cycle of MicroStrategy has actually outperformed the miners going into the halving and after the halving event. But where we are getting to now, with Bitcoin being 100,000, close to that, and possibly over that, that's where I think the miners will outperform. So I think there might be a play there as well on doing that. Let's see. Hi, Seb, I saw the news release too for Cleanspark. Oh, well, let's take a look at that. Let me pull up Cleanspark here really quick. Miners, press releases, Cleanspark. Did they put it out? Let's see. Where'd you guys see that? Because I'm not seeing it on their website here. Cleanspark, this is the latest one we have from November 11th. And so I'm not seeing that. Where is that at? Achieve exahash comments and trading halt. Let's see, do they have anything in here being reported on it? I don't think so. Just, nope. Yeah. So I'm not seeing it here. Let me know where you guys are seeing that. Okay. If Cleanspark gets short squeezed next week, how high can it go short term? Can it top the 24 range from March? Yeah, I mean, depending where Bitcoin goes and everything else, but you saw the shorts being halted. When was it? Last week, Friday, right? I think it was Thursday and Friday they got halted for shorting him. And what did the stock do? The stock did really well on Friday and somewhat pretty good on Monday as well. And it was up, what, 15% or something like that, 20%, whatever it was, just because of that. So if you get the shorts off their back, just like them and any other miner, yeah, the stocks are going to do very well at that point. Let's see, where are we at? Bitcoin's still at 97,252. Ryan says, let's get to 100. We're close. We are close. All right. Hi, Seb. Are you worried about that Bitmain miners are held at shipping ports for months now? Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you. Yeah, thanks to you. Which port is it? I mean, I thought the port strike was over with. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that, so I guess, no comment on it. I would have to look into it. How do you feel about Bitfarms doing trial site for HPCI? I feel like they should just focus on Wygooz, I can't pronounce it, city name there. I think it's smart for them if they're looking to possibly do that with the sites that they have in Pennsylvania. You want to do a pilot site, learn from it, right? Because it's not something that they have a lot of experience with. So a small pilot site, kind of like what TerraWolf did. I think Cypher is doing that also, a pilot site. Somebody else did it. I think that's good, right? You're not spending that much money, but you're learning in the process, and then you can iterate from that process and go forward if you have the customer demand there. So I'm okay with that. Okay. What else? All right. Compared to Bitfarms, do you know which other BTC mining stocks have active ATMs? I believe IREN still has theirs, a little bit left. Cleanspark should have theirs. Riot's got theirs. Cypher's got their. Trying to think. Marathon probably still has theirs. Pretty much everybody here, I think, has one of them. Let's see. Jordan says miners have a lot more risk with convertible notes because dilution limits price appreciation. They'd probably have to pay off debt instead of notes being converted. BTC could go down a lot too. Yeah, that's also a risk there. All right. Okay. That's your question. Thank you for all you do, Seb. We appreciate it. Oh, that's not really a question. That's a comment, but I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. Seb's on Cleanspark website under events and presentation. It's 12/2 at, is it? Okay, let's go back to the Cleanspark website here. Well, why didn't they put that out as a press release? Oh, yeah, it is. Huh. Look at that. Okay, so we got confirmation. Thank you, guys. Cleanspark fiscal year 2024 earnings result webcast will be December 2nd. Okay. So Monday. Excellent. All right, we'll get to see the numbers there. We'll get maybe a guidance from them as well. All right. Thank you. Because I'm always going to the press releases. I'm surprised they didn't put out a press release on it like they normally do. Interesting. Okay. Let's go back here. All right. All right, let's see. Question. Seb, do you have a hobby? Do I have a hobby? I mean, hobby, something. I mean, there's a lot of things I like doing. I like working with my hands, building stuff. I like doing that. I like also pulling in the data for the miners. I mean, I might say this is my hobby a little bit. Self-therapeutic hobby. On that one, I like spending time with my kids, playing soccer with them, playing football with them. As far as fishing, I don't like fishing. Fishing's too boring for me. I like being active. I like working in the yard. What else? I think that's it. Playing video games every once in a while with my kids and even by myself. Just playing video games or watching a movie. Yeah, I'm an easy man. All right. The question, has your Cleanspark price target changed in the last month? No, I'm waiting to see what their number of shares outstanding is right now when they report their quarterly results here, possibly Monday. We'll see how much dilution there was. That might change a little bit. But with Bitcoin going up higher than I thought it's going, I don't think it's going to change much on there. My price prediction or my price estimates for them. All right. If Bitcoin goes over 250,000 and IREN gets enough AI deals, could it go to $50 a share in 12 months? I think it can go there without an AI deal. I think it can go even higher than that just based on them growing to 50 exahash, right? Okay, let's see here. Mike says, thanks, Sebastian, for this hour live because I live in Poland and regular live is too early for me. I still buy Bitfarms when it drops. Very nice, yeah. And Poland is actually my home country where I was born. So, jak się masz? All right, let's see. I think I'm catching up to all your questions here, which is good. Thanks, Seb. It's great to listen to your comprehensive and calm coverage on the number of Bitcoin-related issues. Amazing. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. But yeah, I think, let's see what else we have here. All right. Hi, Seb. My understanding that Tier 3, 4 Hyper AI scalers will not be buying BTC miners due to 24/7, 365 uptime. Tier 2 or 2.5 are needed and could be of interest. Yes, that is a big... Yeah, I mean, they need basically 24/7 uptime, right? 365 uptime, not with 99.9999, maybe even 9% uptime there when it comes to HPC AI, especially if you're dealing with like inference and things like that. So yes, majority of these sites are not suitable for that right now. Could they be retrofitted? Yes, they could be, right? We're seeing that with Core. Core is retrofitting their sites for Core Weave there. We could see other sites do that as well if the deal was good enough, I guess you could say, for it. It doesn't make sense, really, for the miners to do that as well. And then who's paying the upfront costs on that, right? With Core Weave, they're fronting the bill for Core, and then they're getting a discount for a couple of years until they get their money back on that. So, yeah, I would agree with you there on it. And then also, if you're in Texas, I think Texas might be a little more difficult, I think. I mean, it's definitely doable. You could do it with battery backups or battery storage. You could do it with diesel generators and things like that to offset any possible times when you have to curtail. But that's going to be expensive as well. But it is doable there. I think some of the other states might be a little bit better. And then it just depends on locations. I think you want to be close to large metropolitan areas as well. So that kind of maybe excludes some sites potentially. All right. Man, we got people from all over the place. Thanks for joining from Ireland. Great production. Thank you. Much appreciated from Ireland. Thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate you guys doing that. All right, I think we're going to call it a day here. I've come up to all you guys' questions here. We're going on about an hour now as it is. On it, that's usually our kind of limit where we go, about an hour and a half usually. So come Sunday, I'll do a live stream on Sunday. We'll see if maybe we can do a little bit earlier one than the late one on Sunday as well. We'll cover how the miners did against Bitcoin this past one and then see what else happens over the weekend with Bitcoin. All right. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for coming in. Love you all. Enjoy the Friday too. Friday's going to be nice too. Enjoy that. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe out there. I'll see you guys Sunday.